Hello, hope everyone's having a good day and is ready for another video in the series we like to call Underrated Throwers. Today we got Tatyana Lysenko. She's a former Russian hammer thrower, was the former Olympic record holder and world championship record holder before Anita and Cameron Rogers, and also was the former Olympic champion in 2012 and a world champion in 2013. However, there was some controversy about her because, as you maybe remember for you history buffs, around this time, and prior to the 2016 Olympics, Russia received a ban from pretty much all IAAF competitions, including the Olympics and World Championships and basically international competition, due to the doping scandal. And she was one of the athletes affected. She was disqualified and got her medals taken away for 2013 and 2012, and but, however, she still is a world champion and a world championship silver medalist and a European champion, and has a PR of 78 meters 80. And, she was a very, very good hammer thrower, obviously. So, today, we're just going to ignore the doping stuff, all right? Because I just like to celebrate. And I don't discount people for taking steroid. Obviously, it's a blight and all that. I don't know exactly what she took, so I'm just going to say steroids. Some performance-enhancing drug. So, yeah. And, it sucks. And, she received the 8-year ban in 2016. But this is a throw from the World Championships in, ironically, Moscow in 2013. And that's actually got to be pretty cool to win a World Championships on your in your hometown, home country. That's got to be pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. Unfortunately, it got taken away, this throw, and her records. Not to mention, they got broken anyway, so, I mean, who really cares? But, yeah, it's unfortunate, but, sometimes, things happen. But that's the main reason I think she's underrated, is because I feel like people just discount just people who take performance enhancing drugs. Like Randy Barnes was criminally just underrated and stuff after he was banned for life after failing multiple doping tests. There are several other throwers, and it just really sucks because, they have great technique, and they still accomplish these things. They still have to actually compete and win the medals, Like, you can't just take steroids and automatically just become medal winners. I'm not trying to defend them or anything, but I'm saying you can't discount them. You can't discount them being competitors and having good technique and all that. They still have to put in the work. They still have to do all that. But yeah, so that's another reason I do videos on people who have served bans and stuff like that. It sucks, but I won't discount them for that. But let's get into this throw. So actually, she did the championship record on her previous throw, actually. This is her 5th round throw. As you can see, she's in first place here. And yeah, before we get started with the technical analysis, as always, I will link her personal best, height, weight, and notable accomplishments in the video description. She's around 6'1". I forgot her weight. I just took a quick glance at it. But, she's tall for a woman, 6'1". That's pretty tall. Yeah. And yeah, other than that, let's get started. All right, let me skip ahead. All right, so she is starting on this side of the ring, right here. So normally you would straddle the midline. So normally you'd have your feet here. However, she is starting there. I think it's because this cage is so far in. So technically she is throwing straight, but straight that way. If she was to line up that way, she would have to throw like a really, really perfect throw to not hit this cage. So that's actually a good tip. I think every thrower, no matter what, unless you're, a javelin, any thrower who throws in a cage should learn how to, adapt and throw a little offset, rather it be this way or whatever. Just because, especially in hammer, the cages move and stuff due to maybe like sometimes they're angled really weird and you'll throw onto the track if you hooked it a certain way or something. They usually do it for safety concerns. Excuse me. There's actually very rarely that you'll find a cage that is actually open correctly. So as you can see, this one is really far in. So, yeah, you guys, I think all throwers who throw in cages and, shot putters as well, they need to learn how to, like, offset a little bit to adapt to certain situations. So I think she's doing a great job with that here. Again, this could just be how she sets up. I don't think it is, due to other videos that I've seen. I think she is setting up that way on purpose because she is angled perfectly, because this is technically the middle of the ring here with the way the cages are open and closed like that. So, yeah. But that's the first thing I noticed. And also, very stable, feet a little wider than shoulder width. So that's okay. I personally like to start a little shorter than shoulder width or shoulder width and hammer, just because I think it helps you not like sweep around, but obviously she knows what she's doing and stuff. So I just think if you start a little tighter than you would for like shot and disc, that you would, it's a lot easier to make a tighter turn and not go so wide with your legs. But that's more for like beginners and intermediate people. Obviously, when you're at the level that you can win Olympics and world championships, you're probably past that stage. So let's see. She's here, looks at the sector. Every hammer thrower has their own routine. This is just hers. All right, let's see. Now this is where we start. So we start here. Creates that pendulum effect. I've already explained the pendulum. I've actually made a whole video, like a 20-minute video explaining the pendulum in my hammer basics videos, so you can go check that out. There's a playlist on my video on my channel. It's labeled Basic Concepts, and it has shot, disc, and hammer on it. Still thinking about doing a javelin series, not sure yet. But she creates this nice pendulum here. And in this video, I did my previous video I did on Heinz Wise, German hammer thrower, but he's a guy. You'll see it's very different the way they throw. One, because, they're just two different people. And then two, because of the genders they are, man and woman. And you're going to find that she is not going to be countering very much at all. I already explained this a lot in my Cameron Rogers video that I did a couple weeks back. But you'll find that like she honestly doesn't even counter as much as Cameron Rogers. Tatyana here, she throws more conventionally, like traditional like woman's hammer thrower and stuff. And what I mean by that, very straight-legged and not very much counter. Obviously, she has a little, but I'll reiterate what I said in the Cameron Rogers video. It's because the ball is just so light. There's just no need to counter it that hard. And you're going to see it here. Now, obviously, there is a little counter. All right, so let's go back here. So it goes out wide. So she's establishing a good pendulum, getting the ball moving, which will make the it easier to wind. If there's movement in the ball, there's energy she's creating. That's very good. Right here. She is now starting her first wind. Very, very high wind. So establishing a very, very high point. All right, now she's flanned it a little bit. All right, and as you notice, when she's doing this, her head is facing that way the entire time. She's not looking around. All right, that's very good. So she's established a focal point. And you're going to notice when she does this first turn, she's going to keep her head there until the ball catches with her right foot or right knee. All right, and now you notice now her head is facing the hammer. That's very, very nice. And you see, like, at this point, if she was a guy and she was throwing like a 16 or, a 7.26K hammer, she would be way more back by now. But as you can see, like, she's almost pretty much just standing up. And another thing that she's doing is she's actually still looking back, which is actually very unique. And this is another thing, too, that I also explained in the Cam Rogers video, is that women can kind of just do whatever they want, pretty much, with the 4K, to, a certain extent. But they can just get away with way more stuff. And this holds true for almost all the women's events, except javelin, really. Javelin is its own separate animal. But for, like, shot, disc, and hammer, like, they can just get away. That's why you see them have, like, sometimes really freaky techniques compared to males, because males kind of have to throw a little similar due to the weight of the implements they are throwing it with. Obviously, you do see variation and stuff. Like a standout in hammer throw would be like Kibway Johnson. Like, nobody throws like Kibway. But for the most part, everyone throws pretty much the same. They have to sit back so hard and stuff. Like, but she's like pretty much just straight up. Normally, a guy would be like back here already on their first turn. All right, but with her, she's also facing back, which actually I don't see that much, to be quite honest. And I think that's actually that one is it is extremely hard to do. That takes so much patience. And what I think she's doing is she's doing that to make sure that she's not pulling the hammer. Because I will say it is super easy to pull a 4K because it's just so light that you can't feel the ball as well as you can with like a heavier ball. That's how you'll tend to see women. They tend to have better technical throws with like when they throw like 5Ks and stuff, just because they can actually feel the ball and feel what's happening, rather than I see a lot of women hammer throwers and they just spin around in a circle, just because they're just so strong compared to how light the implement is. It's just so hard to feel what's happening. And that's true with the 1K and discus and, the 4K and shot put as well. It's just so hard to feel the ball. So, or the discus. So, yeah, but you're going to see major differences. So, we'll see if she continues that with her head on her next turns. So now you can see her head is actually moving now, which is okay. So, now she's here. Oh, actually, let's go back a little. When does she pick up this right foot? So she actually picks it up pretty good. Yeah, so it's off the ground pretty much there. So her left foot is facing 90 degrees. Very, very nice. That's good. All right. And that's a little, that's still kind of flat. It's maybe a little high, but again, it's not like she has to worry about countering the 4K that much, really. And so, yeah. But as you can see, so it's usually I like the hammer to be a little bit with your belly button or like the midpoint. But the right leg's good too. As long as it's not dragging or super far ahead. It has to be somewhere here. And I'm speaking for a right-handed thrower, obviously. For a left-handed thrower, it would be at your belly button or on your left leg, and you'd be going that way, obviously. But I'm just speaking as a right-handed thrower because the majority of throwers are right-handed. All right, so she's here. And what I really like, she is keeping her feet close to the ground. Her right foot, really close to the ground. Really like that. I don't like it when the feet come up so much. Now I say that when Koji's probably my favorite hammer thrower of all time, and his feet go super high, his right foot. So, you know, that's a pretty big contradiction. But whatever. Gerd Kanter is my favorite thrower ever, and he also puts his left foot really high from middle to front. So, call me crazy, but I don't teach that. I just think these are athletic freaks in nature. But this is mainly what I teach in hammer is super low feet, and I actually teach that in Sean Disc too. I actually prefer like a Vergilius Elecna approach to the feet where they don't go above the knees, and that's the same I feel in hammer as well. Because if they go too high, it's just going to take that much more for them to go back down, that much longer. I mean. Now, obviously, if you're athletic freak in nature, like Gerd Kanter and Koji Murafushi, you can just do stuff. So, but unfortunately, not everyone's like that. So, yeah. But as you can see, very, very nice catch here. I actually think she caught this a little late, actually. I think she could have got down like there. Just a little bit. Like one more frame and she's down, but if I had to be super nitpicky, I think she could have got down a little bit there. But now you can see it's still with her right knee. You can see it slightly is not dragging. So a lot of people confuse this with the ball being like a little bit behind, like here, and then it catches up. That's just her pushing the ball. Dragging would be like if she was like, the hammer was like back here or something, and like she was facing this way, but her lower body was this way. Another way I like to think about it is having separation, which you do not want to have separation in hammer at all. All right, you want to be basically a brick wall, like your body, and the hammer is turning with you. All right, and you don't want it to be super to the side and then like all that. You don't want to have like twisted hips. You don't want to twist in hammer. That's why you want to think about the word turn, not twist. Never twist in hammer. That's why it's a big difference in shot put and discus compared to hammer, and why most hammer throwers are just hammer throwers, because they're completely different feelings to what you want to feel in Sean Disc. Sean Disc, you want to feel separation. You want to feel the hips go ahead of the upper body. Or if anything, in hammer, the upper body goes ahead of the lower body. It's complete opposite. And for the most part, you don't want separation at all. And that's why it's very rare to see very good shot disc and hammer throwers, or Sean hammer throwers or Sean disc throwers, hammer disc throwers, and stuff like that. Especially hammer discus, because discus you need way more separation than shot put, and stuff. So that's why you tend to see maybe like shot put and hammer throwers tend to be good combination throwers, compared to hammer and discus. That's why what makes like someone like Maggie Ewan like so incredibly unique, where she can throw all three and like be like elite at all three of them. So, but those are very rare cases. All right. So, but enough with that. Let's get back to the actual technique. So now you can see she's starting to pick up speed. So her first turn, just as always, the first turn is just an extension of your wind. And it's basically the speed that your last wind is. So the wind to put in the hammer. That's basically it. And it's basically just to establish momentum, establish connection, and establish good feelings for your second, third, and fourth turn. For a three-turner, it's completely different. Because you got to push that ball immediately. You don't have time because you have one less turn. So you gotta actually go. Right off the bat. You don't have that extra time, which is why 4-turn is a lot easier to throw, in my opinion, than 3 turns. Just because you have that little bit, you have that one extra turn that lets you establish a good connection and stuff. And as you get better and better and better, that first turn will get faster and faster and faster, but it will never be your fastest turn. It will always be your slowest turn, because just like in Sean Disc, when you turn out the back, that's going to be the slowest part of your throw. And because you got to accelerate. If you go fast out the back, you're one, going to miss a lot of positions, and then 2, not actually accelerating. unless you're an absolute animal like someone like Jordan Geist who can go fast out the back and then just go even faster middle to front, but or like a Joe Kovacs, but that's slow to them, so it's all relative. So her first, like Tatyana here, like her first turn, and I just keep saying her first name because honestly, I just don't know how to pronounce her last name, and I don't want to keep getting it wrong. So it's not like we're on a first name basis. I've never met her. But I'm just going to keep calling her Tatyana. I'm probably saying that wrong too because I'm illiterate and that's all I know how to say. So I do apologize for that. But, Tatyana here, relative to most elite hammer thrower, relative to her, that first turn was slow to her. Turn, even though to us, that's like us mortals, that's insane that's like the speed of like a last turn to release, usually. So if even that, but yeah, as you can see, she is not that far back. Obviously, she is sitting back a little bit, but she is not super low in the knees. She's pretty much upright. Obviously, she's a little far back. Obviously, this is also her second turn. All right, and now you can see the hammer is starting to get higher and higher and higher. You also find that most hammer throwers that are women is they tend to have higher high points when they do stuff like this because they're more upright. So obviously they're going to have higher high points than males and stuff. Now obviously you will get males that have high points. All right, but lands there. As you notice, so she's tall. She's tall. She is not fully locking out this left knee. Never, ever, ever lock your knees out. Ever. In pretty much every throw except the block and shot, discus, and jab. But in hammer, you never, ever lock out your knees. Ever. You're always a slight bend. The only thing I would say is maybe the release. You lock them out a little. But even then, you still want a little slight bend, just a little, on the very end of the release. But as you can see, she's getting here. Great connection here. As you can see, so she is starting to counter a little bit more, just a little bit. She is catching a little late. Actually, no. Actually, I take that back. Because I actually completely forgot the first point that I made is that she's offsetting. So she's there. So she's actually catching perfectly on time. I keep forgetting that she's throwing it that way. So she's actually perfect. All right. Now she's here. Good. Entering her fourth turn. See, now she's getting a little lower. She's still pretty tall, though, compared to like a guy. But yeah, so now she's sitting back. This is good. This is good. Obviously, this throw is good because it's 78 meters. I do think she could have turned her right foot a little more on the finish. Just a little bit. She turns her hips, though. But, straight down the middle. And I think that's because she offset. If she did this exact same throw, but started here, I think she would have got way closer to this cage. I don't know if it would have hit it. But it would have got close. But yeah, super, super good throw. Obviously, because this was a former championship record. 78 meters 80. This wasn't the 78-80 throw, but obviously a super, super good throw. Oh, wait, actually, I totally forgot to actually play this in full speed for you guys. Here, let me play that now. Slow, and then every turn gets faster. And then you can see it there. Yeah, so that wasn't further, but that's still like a 76 meter throw, something. 76, 77 meter throw. Still very far throw. For men or women, that is a far throw. And stuff. But, yeah. Overall, just super good technician. And I guess she only did that head thing where she looked back on the first turn, like that, this frame, She only did on that first turn, so I wonder why that is. Maybe comment below if you have the answer to that. I think it's just to establish her not pulling on the first turn. That's my educated guess, because she doesn't do it on the rest of the turns because she's building up speed here. She's actually turning her head just a little bit. But again, women can also slightly pull a little and get away with it, just because when a woman pulls the hammer, it's not going to get that far behind her, because you can kind of just bully a 4K. So you will see some women and they will pull and stuff. But very slightly. Obviously not like egregiously, but you know, they'll do it sometimes. But anyways, I'll link her once again. I'll link her height, weight, personal best, and notable accomplishments in the video description. Hope you guys learned something, and thanks for watching. Have a good one and a Merry Christmas. See y'all later. Bye.